What we're going to talk about is a 90-day journey on what does this 90-day look like, and what you should do, at least, to set a solid foundation to make it more future-proof. Why APIs though? If you relate to any of these examples, which I'm going to show on the screen in a second, if your objectives and your mission for the coming few years is something like, if you want to enable independent living, or adult social care, live safely at home, tackling fuel poverty, there are multiple services from multiple agencies. There's NHS involved, there's local councils involved, and many other organizations. How do then you offer one service to citizens? If you're looking at smart movement, whether it's rail, road, bus, people just want to get from A to B. How can we offer them a consolidated service? There's been a talk about in the last few weeks, can Oyster card be nationwide? Easier said than done. Acute care for NHS. How do you build the hospitals for the future? It cannot be just hospitals or NHS-owned systems or processes. We need to collaborate across agencies, across other organizations, and the ecosystem. What it all leads into is, how do you become more customer-centric? How do you offer shared services? How do you do data sharing? Security, privacy, all of that. And legacy, how do we tackle legacy? We can't just shut it down, replace it with new SaaS solutions. It will take time, it will cost a lot. So how do we handle that? And of course, how do we adopt cloud? Again, the cloud providers say lift and shift, move, migrate. But there's a lot of moving parts. So we think API-led integration is quite critical. And APIs are the glue, is the glue, which can help you achieve some of these objectives. First thing first, what not to do. My experience working with a lot of our customers, where they've gone wrong. First thing is, very quickly set up a development team and start building without laying any foundations. It leads to what is referred to as a spaghetti architecture. If you don't define how you're going to reuse a lot of things. We're speaking to one of the customers, say we've done it very successfully. We have 32 systems and 285 APIs. Something is not in place there. If you don't agree on standards, what are going to be the standards? Little things like naming conventions, which we'll talk about in a second, briefly. But what are the standards your organization is going to follow? Security, governance. If you start building APIs based on systems, this is a very common bad practice, where you say we've got a HR, finance, social care, patient records, multiple systems. Let's build APIs on top of all these systems, and then we'll start connecting. That's typically a mistake because it doesn't consider end-to-end process. You miss the opportunity of optimizing your processes. If you don't know how you're going to scale, lots of proof of concepts, pilots going around, but no strategy on how it's going to scale. And of course, if you fall for vendors' sales pitch and buy the software and then try to build your solution around it, it's going to hurt. So, how do we do it right? This is an overall delivery framework. Don't worry, we're not going to go through all of that. We're going to focus on this part here. What we very strongly believe is there is this very simple set of prerequisites you need before you even get started. So if you don't have those things, you're not ready yet. So hold fire and make sure you've got these things in place. A business plan, of course, but very simply defining what does good look like for your organization. What is next 3 years look like? What's the design of your digital service? And how are you going to pay for it? Choosing the partners early on is very, very, very crucial as well. At least listing them. Who are you going to collaborate with? If it is, let's go back to adult social care. Are you going to talk to housing associations, or are you going to talk to local council, going to talk to NHS, Blue services? Who all is going to participate in this? Bringing them on board early on is quite important. What is the design of your service? Is it user-centric? And how are you going to deliver it? What's going to be the level of that service? How are you going to deliver it? So what do we do next? Basic thing, 3 steps. Discovery, foundation, design. How do you start? First thing is a business context. Now this is not just a big business plan. This is a business context which is understood by the IT teams. So when they are building IT projects, what are they working towards? And it could be a brief synopsis of what they're trying to achieve. But it's very important to document as a reference back for when you have a team or multiple teams in progress, building projects, working on technology. Stakeholder engagement, again, specifically for API-led integration, this is your stakeholder engagement at a domain level or a department level. So who are your domain leaders? Who are the stakeholders for a particular department? How are they going to engage? How are they going to request a particular service from your API landscape? Also, you use this opportunity to bring them on board and educate them so that you don't have to worry about that later on. More than half of IT projects fail because of lack of user adoption within the organization. End state vision, particularly looking at, based on what does good look like, what does the architecture or the design of the service looks like in 3 years' time. This is also the stage when you start to document your first APIs, listing them, basically your interfaces to the systems, that these are the sort of services you will be able to provide internally and externally. Systems and data landscape. Just simply documenting, I might use the wrong word here, documenting the existing systems, because we all know the problems around the documentation of existing systems. But one main thing in this is categorizing your legacy systems into at least what is going to be decommissioned, what is coming to end of life. Also, what is the nature and maturity of your legacy system? Can you even connect to it? If you can connect to it, what sort of protocols, etc., technology you need to follow to connect to it? Just categorizing those legacy systems will really help making decisions on what APIs and what priority they should be released. You will very quickly get to this stage where you can now build a detailed plan, not just for the rest of this, but also for how you're going to scale. The first draft of your plan will start to shape up, which will obviously help you in creating a business case for it. Service expectations. All we are doing here is mapping. Remember this? You design your service, you design your service levels and how you're going to deliver that service. Is that service going to meet the expectation of your users, your citizens, your internal users, or your third-party partners? So just making sure that whatever you're designing here or creating here meets the expectation of the service you're supposed to deliver in the first place. Moving into the foundations, quite obvious delivery methodology, particularly around how is a request from a business or a domain leader going to come in, what is going to happen with it, and what is going to be the acceptance criteria of that. How will you prove that the APIs or whatever you build is successful? Does that serve the purpose of the original request? Just particularly defining that. Project engagement, again very crucial. This is where you start to show the stage gates. A very common mistake when building APIs is, like I said earlier, building too many APIs, because it's probably easier. Just, someone says, I want a customer data or a patient record. I don't want their email and phone number, don't want their last name or date of birth for data privacy, but I want this and that. But then, it's easier for development teams to say, yeah, we've got this system and this system, we're going to build APIs on top. But this is where you define the stage gates of that, wherein you promote reusability. So that is absolutely crucial. The more reusable it is, the more you will be able to control it, or maintain it, or sustain it in the long term. Something like that, wherein before any development kicks in, there is someone checking what's there and what can be reused or extended. Continuous integration. We've been delivering IT projects for 12 years, let's say. I think the first few years, roughly, we do the, of course, we're a service company, we do utilization of our resources. About 40% of the time of our developers was spent on deploying things, testing, unit testing, regression testing, moving from one environment to another. So having a continuous integration framework to just automate all that stuff. You want your teams to focus on actually building what is going to deliver to the business, not on things like that. So if you have something like this in place, they develop something, press a button, go home, robots come to play, they test, they give the results next morning, you fix it, they deploy in different environments. User acceptance testing works much better. Security principles. I mean, you've been listening to security all day. And this is not just authentication, authorization, or data protection. This is also, have you got the consent? If you're going to build APIs and share those APIs, which is going to take data from one of your systems and share with third parties, have you got consent? So what are going to be principles for your organization to make sure all of these things are in place? Standards, very much related to development, but naming conventions. Just naming conventions, how things are going to be structured, where they're going to be stored, what are going to be the domain names, how will they come. People, it's all about people. And this is what leads to you creating a center for excellence, center for enablement. This has training. How are you going to onboard new people? How are you going to get them started? How are you going to choose your delivery partner? Of course, that's not a problem in this scenario here. But it's very important, choosing your delivery partners. What is going to happen to your incumbent suppliers? Maybe they can do it. But just making sure that training plan is in place, onboarding plan is in place, and people are mobilized. This mobilization, this part of mobilization is about infrastructure. Maybe a bit too much detail, but I'm sure some of you have come across. The project was supposed to take 6 months, and then you requested access to a certain system, and that took 9 weeks. So just defining how you're going to access the systems. You've listed your systems, how are you going to access it? What are going to be the security protocols? Who needs to be involved? Who will sort it out? Can we mobilize it now? Can the request be placed? Because things take time in these scenarios. So once you've done this, we're ready to start mapping the business domains. It's very important to not take one area of the business and a bunch of systems within that area, HR, finance, or any other service, but rather look at a business process level. So mapping all your domains, identifying the domain leaders is quite important. We've been hearing all day about siloed systems. So yes, you will build APIs on systems, and there will be APIs for processes, there will be APIs for front end, but you also need to look at the business domains and how they talk to each other, and who is responsible for each domain. Then you're ready to start mapping your APIs with complexity. It's quite important because this will now give you a technology platform choice. This particular scenario is mainly around MuleSoft, for example, but you can adapt it to other technologies. So you need to start pricing and sizing your infrastructure. And when you start to define the complexity and the volume of your APIs, you're ready to then look into the sizing, pricing, the estimates of building it as well. You need to identify the integration patterns. I won't go too much into that detail, but you do need to define, if you are going to interact with a certain system, what is that interaction going to look like? It's an overnight batch process, or is it just drawing data out, or is it doing both things? And there are several wait times. It's important to define within your organization what are the limitations and requirements. And that's when you start to create the bigger picture. And it looks something like this, perhaps. So you've got your different business domains, you've got your systems in the different domains. and with your systems, you have now started to classify your APIs. You look at this one picture, you will be able to tell, if you know your systems, why do we have this here and here twice? Reusability, consolidation. And you also need to, start to look at how different domains talk to each other. How does this starts to remove silos? What this then takes you to is you are ready to now start defining the projects. Projects are basically based on business processes, not APIs. So you've done your homework in laying the foundations, you mobilize your people, you identified your domains, you have your APIs mapped with complexity, you know what your integration patterns are, you know what domains are going to participate in this, how they're going to work together, and you start to map your business processes like that. And you start to define the priorities, the effort, the complexity, and what are the dependencies. And this is quite crucial. Now, doesn't matter how big or small your team is, how spread they are, geographically speaking, it will make sense. They have something to refer back to. And now you're ready to do a deep dive into your first couple of APIs. If you're doing Agile, user stories, or any other methodology you're adopting, you can start to create the specification of your API, which you might want to do a proof of concept for or not. You are ready to then start to define the contract of that API, which you are then able to publish in your solution catalog, which you can share with your partners internally and externally, and they can start using it. Think API economy. If you have all these sockets created for your organization, then you can start to see maybe you can commercialize it. So what do we get here? You have a center for enablement, a service catalog, defining high-level APIs, how does it connect to your domains, how do they talk to each other, and what business objectives it aligns to. You have governance in place, and a roadmap, and a scalability plan, how you're going to scale it. And then, of course, you're ready to scale your program and take it forward. And then it becomes a bit of a nice, very efficient cycle, and you can start to launch. Where does this take you? Quite obvious points. You do become future-proof if you do this homework. It's very tempting to rush into development, but this homework, it could take less depending on the organization, but roughly 3 months is quite a step forward. Your user-centric services, your governance is in place, you become interoperable. That's my favorite point here, because we've been talking about shared services or services not connected. For every service, there are five different things. It's a friend of mine runs a care provider services, care at home, and they have to go to multiple websites to get information from councils and then go and allocate their care workers to people, and then they get scheduled from a third service, and then the attendance of when the care worker went comes from another element. Then now there are IoT sensors to press the button that I have attended. It's just a bit all over the place. If there are APIs, you can bring it all together. You can have a shared service. This plan is generic enough, but one size doesn't fit all. So what we typically do is we do a one-day assessment, one-day workshop, where we then give you a tailored plan, which you do with us or you can run it yourself. And thank you very much for attending.